What's up, you guys? Your girl is back with another vlog. So today is Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. So I'm trying to give the Cliff Notes version of all these updates because I feel like I have spent quite some time harvesting a lot of seeds, intentionally harvesting seeds with intention. Because I know y'all are probably like, dang girl, you've been away for a little minute now. And I have. I think I really wanted to take intentional time away from social media because sometimes you need the silence to discern when you are hearing God's voice, to listen for your true calling. And there's been so much in my life that I am so grateful to share that has been full circle. Full circle. God is so good. He is so good. And I'm going to tell you, it's been so many times where I took the faith of a mustard seed. I'm sorry, I just ate breakfast and I can still feel like a little bit of my breakfast. Like, you ever feel that lingering piece of food? And I'm just like, I feel it. But anywho, excuse me. So I know many of you are like, girl, you've been away for a little minute, and I did. I took intentional time away from social media. And the thing about me is, I don't hesitate to step away from social media when I need to. I don't hesitate to take a digital detox when I need to, especially when I am trying to discern God's voice. You need silence. Sometimes you need that isolation to clearly hear God's voice so that He can discern what it is that is in store for you. And I have spent a lot of time patiently and faithfully planting mustard seeds in my life for elevation. Has that season been easy? No. It has not been easy, but emphasis on faith, really trusting in God's vision for my life. I truly know in my heart that God would not bring me this far in my life to abandon me. And now that harvest season is approaching, I'm just like, God, I thank you. Lord, I thank you. Jesus, I thank you. The harvest is coming. I am excited about all the projects that I have been working on. I am back in art education. I love my school that I'm at, and I can genuinely say that, right? Like, I'm grateful for my past experiences. But another thing too, I feel like it takes a lot of courage to be like, something isn't working for me. It's not serving me. So I'm going to move on to what God has in store for me next. I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to discern that, right? And that is what has led me to where I am today. Now, this is the part where I'm just going to pause. Well, I want to dive in. So I don't know if I'll actually end up sharing this part of my journey with you guys, maybe later down the road. Like I said, today is Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. I know I have not been on social media, honestly, like at least since early 2024. I really stopped posting in the fall of 2023. So, you know what? Here we go. I have not been on social media since really my 30s started. I am 32 years old. The last significant post that I really remember making was about my 30th birthday in 2023. And about almost 2 months later when some of my dear friends walked as models in my designer debut at the Georgia Southern Showcase. Now, that may lead you to your next question. Girl, how are your studies going at Georgia Southern? God is so great. It's so many twists and turns and pivots that have been a part of my testimony that has led me to where I am today. Again, faith of a mustard seed. When I tell you I have had to have the faith of a mustard seed to navigate all the twists and turns, oh my goodness. But long story short, last week I submitted my graduation application to Georgia Southern University to earn my second undergraduate degree, because after all, my previous employer, FedEx, sponsored most of it. So, and then that's been another thing too. I want to clear this up because you have some people that may be like, well, Sharana, you already have an undergraduate degree in visual art from Savannah State. Why make a lateral move to get a second undergraduate degree? First of all, eats free. Eats free. If my previous employer was going to pay for it, why not learn more valuable skills that I can now pour back into my elementary art students? It's giving full circle, honey. And this goal, if you really know me, if you've really been with me on this journey from the jump, you would know that me completing my fashion studies is a long-term goal. It's been such a long-term goal for quite some time. Like, I'm talking, I was a little girl in kindergarten when they gave you that assignment, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was fashion designer. And then even in high school, doing my youth apprenticeship program, you know, I learned about like the merchandising side of the fashion industry. I worked at Route 21, and that was just such a exciting time for me personally, because I remember being able to help managers with the wall changes, because there's like a lot of color theory involved with that, right? Like the wall changes are often thematic. And so, the wall changes are thematic. There is often a color palette involved. That's visual merchandising. So whether I knew the impact of that at such a young age, because I was like 16 or 17 when I started doing those things. And then my senior year, I learned how to sew by machine, which was so empowering. Shout out to Miss Brenda from my hometown for teaching me how to sew. That was really special to me. And then I went off to my first college, Brenau University. It's an hour north of Atlanta, Georgia, where I studied as a fashion design student. I also earned a scholarship as well, and an athletic scholarship for competitive cheer. That's so many moons ago. That's also where I did become a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated many moons ago. Your girl has layers. But moving on, this has been a dream of mine, you know. I only stayed at Brenau for like a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half. And then that's where I transferred to Savannah State, eventually became a visual arts major. That story has layers too, because I was initially a management major at Savannah State. Again, that is another story for another day. But eventually I became a visual art major, and I found my niche. I found my niche, and I found my people, right? Like, how cool is it to be at an HBCU surrounded by other fellow Black artists? And I graduated with my BFA in visual art from Savannah State in 2018. Now, of course, that's when I became an art educator. And, you know, I did that for about 2 years, which is also another bunny trail. And then, bam, you have my FedEx era, where I really betted on myself. I had learned about FedEx's tuition program, and I was like, you know what? It has been such a long-awaited dream to finish my fashion degree. Why not go do it, especially if it's sponsored by my employee? So that, my dear, is a part of why this full circle is so important. So those of you that have been along this journey with me, especially in recent years, I'm so grateful for my soul tribe as well. You guys haven't seen me on social media in a minute, but God has been so great. God has been so great. And here I am today. I applied for graduation about a week ago. There are still updates pending, but like I said, my harvest is in full bloom. And I find myself feeling ready to segue back into the social media world because I realize what I have been working on is bigger than myself. And that is where my purpose and passion lies. So I have created, now that I'm back in the education industry, right? I am an elementary art educator. I teach grades 2 through 5. And I have founded this program called Anchored in Arts. So the school symbol, or my school's symbol, is the anchor. There is this gorgeous anchor. Like, it is huge. It's large scale. I'm talking like, this has to be like over 30 feet long. It's a giant anchor sculpture. It's beautiful. And it symbolizes being anchored in excellence. That is our school's mission, to be anchored in excellence. And so that's when I coined the term, baby, these students are about to be anchored in arts. And that is my initiative, the Anchored in Arts initiative. And under that initiative, kind of similar to the format of a BFA, where you take intro into painting, intro into sculpture, intro into photography, intro into ceramics, that inspired the structure of the Anchored in Arts initiative. So underneath that umbrella, what I'm specifically developing is Anchored in Style, where I'm going to be not only instructing art education to my elementary students, I'm also going to be integrating fashion design and STEM concepts to my students, because all of this is intertwined, right? And that's why this feels so full circle, being able to marry my visual art background with my fashion background and with STEM concepts. Because another fun fact, my school is on the pathway to becoming STEM certified. So I'm really excited to enlighten my students on how all of these disciplines are intertwined: art, fashion design, and STEM. Because a lot of people may think of fashion as glitz and glams, which it is, but ultimately, fashion is basically math in motion. There are so many mathematics involved with creating a two-dimensional sewing pattern into something three-dimensional, into a garment, right? Like, that creative process, that is essentially utilizing design thinking concepts that engineers essentially go through, right? And it inspires creative inquiry with students, right? Like, Miss Ray, how do we get this into this? So I am incredibly passionate to create my own curriculum, design my own curriculum that merges all three. And I am excited about graduate school. I submitted my graduate school application. Again, like, all of this harvest is starting to bloom. I have planted these seeds for quite some time behind the scenes. You guys haven't seen me on social media, but God has really been putting some things in motion, and I give God all the glory. I give my soul tribe my gratitude for uplifting me. And I think it's just so important to be mindful of who you surround yourself around, and also remembering my hierarchy. First of all, I'm a child of God, and then I am Sharona Ray. And then Sharona Ray is an art educator. Sharona Ray is an exhibiting artist. Sharona Ray is a fashion designer. Sharona Ray is the founder of Anchored in Arts Initiative. Sharona Ray is about to be a graduate of Georgia Southern's fashion merchandising and apparel design program. That will be my second undergraduate degree. And then I have grad school, hopefully sequenced for the fall. So you will have to stay tuned for all these updates. Like I said, today is Tuesday, March 17th, and it feels really good to kind of talk through all of this, because sometimes you need to take a moment and and acknowledge how far you've come. And my heart is full. My heart is so full. So stay tuned. I probably won't have any updates until after spring break, because after all, I did my best. Now it's time for me to let God do the rest. So I'm going to wait faithfully in the hallway and prepare for God to open the next chapters of my life. And I want to be prepared to walk through those doors. It's not enough to just wait faithfully, but also prepare yourself to welcome the abundance of God's blessings. So on that note, your girl will be back with updates probably after spring break. Whenever God says yes, I'm just going to be here waiting patiently and faithfully and putting in the works. Bow. Bye.